So, something that really bothers me and a lot of other people, but it can be worse when you have executive dysfunctional things, is all of the phone notifications I get randomly and how it is inefficient because sometimes I'm out there answering phone notifications in just inconsistent ways or times and I get distracted, and it's a lot worse when you have ADHD or anything that gets you distracted. It's also not efficient way when you have a notification for one email instead of just answering. You get 10 emails and you just answer them all at once. So I want to talk about a little bit of technological ideas I have to fix this problem partly, not fully. And then I want to go on to like some maybe societal ideas. One would be less frequent notifications with an option that you only get notified not every email, but every 2 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 emails. That way you can have fair enough emails so you can actually look at them and have a good time responding. Or other things, but you could extend it to other messages or messaging system. Like maybe you only get notifications after 5 messages on all apps. So you're just not constantly having to waste your time switching back and forth and draining their energy. It can take minutes for people to switch back and forth effectively, and you just can't think straight. Another one that I would like to put out there is making emails have different priority settings and other messages, and you only get notified for high priority ones, but also when you have a message, it says something like, this is a high priority message and this is a low priority message, or something like that. Quickly, maybe the text is bold, maybe it's colored differently, maybe it's at the top of the list or bottom of the list, so you don't have to spend as much time. There's a couple ways of doing this out there. You could use machine learning to train it, in which case either you have to use a proxy. The machine learning proxy would be a machine learning is also akin to artificial intelligence. The proxy would have to be either how long you spend answering it, the length of the emails or keywords that it looks up, but then, or you would have to use something direct, like you rate it yourself how important it is, and the machine learns from that rating. Or you could use another method where the sender has to rate the messages. If the sender rates the message, if you or the sender are rating the messages, it might be a little more fair, but it also puts more burden on you. You could come up with a combined system where you prioritize some of the emails when you have time. The sender prioritizes some of the emails, but the machine learns to predict based on who sends the email out and data within the email how to prioritize it when it sells to you. It's probably the most accurate. But then again, with machine learning, there's always the trouble of people gaming the system, or that people not only gaming the system, but also that it looks at your data. So it's almost how much data you want to give away. You also have the problem that people would unfairly, that you might now and then miss up on stuff that's not as high priority, but you're probably already overwhelmed. You're just going to look at it a little less, and I think the break is more worth it. There's a problem that everyone might just start making everything high priority for nonsense, but then I think the impact's down and you just don't use the future. I think something in between with the machine learning from mobile avenues would be the way to go. And I think it's totally possible, and it will adapt better. And the machine learning would also tempt people trying to rate everything high, because it would see that people that rate it high, it'll take them less seriously if it learns to do it on an individual basis. Just some quick thoughts about how you could do priority messaging. And you could also have some set priorities like emergency phone calls and stuff like that. For time, another one is that you could have settings where you don't get the emails every second, hour or something. It only updates every hour with notifications, or every 2 hours, every 3 hours. That way, you don't get overwhelmed and you see it all at once in a important time frame when you're more free, or set times that everything comes in. You can leave it alone then. The last one, which is probably, I would say, somewhat the most controversial, would be to have laws that about making stuff less addicting. And the thing about a lot of game designs, app designs, social media, is it's purposely created to be very addicting for click-through rates, for like the notification system, for everything. And they do this on purpose, which really harms people. And it can cause addiction. Well, it can cause addiction because it's meant to cause addiction. The way around this that I see that's the best would be should start talking about laws that a game center can't purposely hire people to design something to be addictive. To be useful, yes, but not addictive. Now, that also might mean the app is, yes, less appealing. And we have to argue that, so the laws are kind of gray there. And it's something I think should be put up to debate. I don't necessarily have an answer if we should do it or should not do it. Then, I want to talk about what you can do as a person. So what can you do as a person? Well, the first thing you could do as a person is wait until you have substantial stuff to send. Don't just send out little things every now and then. Send out when you have a substantial amount of things to send. Don't say something is important or reply immediately or urgent unless it really is urgent or important something. Yeah, don't over make a big deal. So, that's you doing. You could also have a regular update time. A regular update time would be really nice. And you could have a link or some thing to let people go to a place with all the updates. So a kind of notification center that lets them see everything more in depth so they don't get distracted by everything come in all at once or everything. They can click through it at their own time. Also, don't make it purposely addicting yourself. Yeah, just don't make stuff addicting yourself. So these are some quick thoughts about how we can make a better system for notifications on both the societal side and technology. But it's not the end, and it's just meant to be begin with discussion, especially a law one. I hope you found this interesting and informative. It really does impact people with ADHD, executive function, disabled people more, or people under a lot of stress because we just have so much less. And it could really increase how productive people are. We all know that we waste time getting distracted by too many emails or too much stuff coming in, or all these beeps and when we have all these beeps and noises coming in, we turn it off and then we miss all of them. So we go from one extreme of not talking to anyone to the other extreme of being overwhelmed. And if you have any comments or questions or ideas about this, please leave them in the comments section below. And you feel free to contact me if you know my information. If you don't, I just don't want to give it out too much. Thank you very much, and please subscribe and like. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers within a year, which is a really hard goal.